Try to imagine being told that having a baby of your own is impossible. The heartache of that alone is unbearable. At least there's other options, right? Wrong. Adopting a baby is very expensive. The cost of adoption, the different types of adoption, and figuring out the most realistic way to pay for the adoption makes a stressful situation that much worse. Adoption hits close to home for me. My sister and her husband lost 2 babies, Bailey at 5 months and Slade at 3 months, to a genetic disorder. After they found out they wouldn't be able to have healthy children of their own, they started looking into adoption. With all the medical bills they had, they knew that an agency adoption was out of the question. They actually had an attorney offer to do it pro bono if they would find a birth mother. After several months, everything fell into place and they adopted a little boy named Bodie from the hospital. Their adoption story didn't end there, but we'll get back to that in a minute. We know that this is not how adoption usually works. And it's sad to say that a lot of people miss out on the joy of being a parent because they can't afford to adopt a baby. It's not an easy decision because of the costs involved. When people start looking at adoption, most have already spent thousands of dollars on in vitro or other failed attempts at getting pregnant. Carrie Smith from PT Money tells us that one of the biggest considerations for couples that struggle to get pregnant is the financial aspect. In vitro can cost anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000. Adoption in the United States starts out around $27,000, and you can go overseas, but you're looking up to $58,000. Susan Newman from Psychology Today says cost is a significant barrier for many families who would like to adopt. You're looking at adoption fees, attorney fees, agency fees, social worker fees, home study fees, travel, country costs, court costs, counseling, birth parent expenses, and finalization costs. Dawn Davenport from Creating a Family gives us a breakdown on the average cost and time frame of being matched with a baby, depending on what type of adoption you choose. There are lots of options when it comes to adoption on which route you go. In 2018, adoption from an agency price averages about $43,000. Within the first 12 months, you're about 62% guaranteed to get matched, and about 82% guaranteed to get matched after 2 years. An adoption attorney is around $38,000 with a 68% match in the first year and 84% match within 2 years. You can also go international. Adopting from China usually costs around $36,000, but 0% of families of non-special need children get matched without going through their waiting child program. Even going through their program, only about 25% of children under the age of 2 get matched. In Ukraine, it costs about $35,000 plus travel expenses. They require both parents to travel there and stay a significant amount of time. About 50% get matched with a child under the age of 2. You can adopt from many nations, but they all have red tape and huge price tags. According to Joe Jones and Paul Plasek, who are both PhDs, they published a report stating that thousands of Americans still express a desire to adopt internationally, but are hindered from pursuing international adoption. There are also domestic adoption here in the United States. Adoption agencies is one option. They have more monitoring and oversight than other places. There are different types of agencies. Private adoption agencies and public adoption agencies. Private, you work with them, they arrange everything. Private is more they kind of personalize it some. Public is more like foster care. There's also independent adoption, which is higher risk because the birth parents have to make that decision to still give up the baby whenever it's born. It can cost as much, but it's kind of a more customized adoption experience. There are 3 main types of independent adoption. Identified adoption, which combines independent adoption and agency adoption. Attorney adoption, which bypasses the agency, but the attorney takes care of all the legal matters. And then adoption facilitators. They're only allowed in some states, and basically they're like a matchmaker. Foster care, like I mentioned, is another option. And a lot of people would say, why wouldn't you just do that if you can't afford it? And you can. They're low cost and sometimes free. but the likelihood of getting a baby is very slim. According to the Adoption Network Law Center, they give the biological parents enough time to regain custody of their children, usually about 6 months, and that usually gets extended. Therefore, in their own words, although there are children of every age in foster care, newborn babies are seldom adoptable. Once you've looked at all the adoption options, then you have to decide how to pay for it. Deeper pockets, you get better results. So you're able to apply through more agencies, kind of get more feelers out. For other people, you can apply through grants, you can get loans, and fundraising is a popular option. I'm friends with a couple that adopted a baby by selling t-shirts. They put cute little sayings on it. And then remember the story about my sister. Let's get back to that. When Bodhi was about 6 months old, they received a phone call from another mom that was pregnant that wanted to give the baby up for adoption. After a lot of talking back and forth, they decided to go ahead and do it, and when Bodhi turned 9 months old to the day, they adopted their second son, Kate. So we've talked about how the adoption is very expensive. First, you have to figure out if it's even a possibility, then you have to decide what route to go, and finally, how you're going to pay for it. Everyone deserves to be a parent, and money should not prevent that.